This video claims a law firm in Tampa had a rankings spike from some reviews. Now, someone in my school community sent it to me asking what I thought because I've been saying for years that reviews alone don't drive rankings. They definitely help with conversion, they definitely help with AI visibility, but lifting a business from invisible to dominant in a market like Tampa for personal injury lawyers with just reviews? Not usually. So a case study showing exactly that was definitely worth a closer look. So I went and I pulled the grid for the law firm they mentioned in this video. I'm going to play you the original video, give the creators credit for what they got right, push back on what I think the data says got oversold, and then show you the grid as it stands today. Let's watch.
This business went from ranking horribly on Google to #1 in just a few weeks.
And it wasn't ads. It was not a website change. It was one move that shocked us, and it might shock you too.
It's a little brilliant, a little risky, and totally real.
For most of the keywords we were tracking, they were nowhere visible in the local pack on Google.
We're talking like bottom of the page invisible.
So they said #1 across almost their entire city. Hold on to that phrase because that is the claim that this case study rests on. Everything that comes next, they're going to talk about the review spike, they're going to talk about a festival theory, they're going to talk about an ethics debate. All of that is downstream of that one line. So before you even get to whether what they did was smart or risky, the first question is how accurate is the ranking story itself? So let's keep watching and we'll look at what the actual grids show.
Boom! They're ranking #1 across almost their entire city.
This stuff is insane. I've never seen anything like it. So naturally, I started digging. And here's what we found. In a single month, their Google reviews jumped from 431 to 503.
That's around 70 new reviews, which is a 17% increase, all in one burst.
Now, they didn't keep up with that review volume. After that month, their review numbers were practically non-existent.
The rankings? They stayed.
5 months later, they are still crushing it.
All right, so I want to give them some credit here. The durability point is real, but the reason it's real is actually more interesting than what they're saying. Their framing makes it sound like the rankings just held on inertia after the review spike, but that's not what's actually happening. What's actually keeping them ranked is something that we call goal completion. Once this firm got that proximity boost from the velocity spike, real users started picking up the phone and calling them, hiring them, and not importantly, not bouncing back to Google search again. That's the signal Google cares about most. It's the user behavior data that tells Google this result, this business solved that user's query. And once you have that, the algorithm will protect the ranking even when all the paper metrics, review velocity, citations, backlinks, page size, whatever else, drop off a cliff. So the rankings aren't sticking because of the spike. They're sticking because the spike got them in front of users long enough for goal completion data to take over. That is a really important distinction because it means review velocity isn't the moat. User behavior is. Let me be perfectly clear what I mean here. If someone calls your business and you don't answer the phone, that is almost certainly a negative rank factor. If someone calls your business and you're really mean to them and kind of well, I won't curse, but you know what I'm trying to say, then again, that user will call the next business on the line. When Google sees that happen, that's bad for your rank position. Now, the piece that they got wrong is what crushing it actually means geographically. We're going to come back to that. Let's keep watching.
So what caused the huge spike in reviews? Because something tells me this wasn't random.
Definitely not. So when I looked into it, I discovered that this particular business had a booth at a local community event, kind of like a festival.
They are a personal injury lawyer, so what do you think they were giving away?
Free bicycle helmets for kids.
Okay, brilliant. That aligns perfectly with what they do.
So my assumption is that after they handed someone a helmet, they were politely asking them to leave a review.
Why are bike helmets perfectly lined with a personal injury attorney? Anyway, festival theory here is plausible. 70 reviews in a month for a personal injury firm is not often organic. Generally, that volume requires an active campaign, and a community event with a captive audience is exactly how you might want to run one. So the mechanism tracks, it makes sense. But the rankings claim, let's take a closer look at that grid. Now, this is a quick honesty moment before I show this to you. I am more than 90% sure that the grid I'm going to show you is the same firm. It's the same city as the original video, the same category. The firm sits right in the center of the rank maps they showed. And when I looked At personal injury law firms in the area, there's only one whose review count trajectory matches the data in the original. Plus, on top of all of that, one of the reviews on this firm matches the one that was showed on screen from the original creator. So a fairly high level of confidence, but I can't promise 100% because they never say who the client is in that original video, which is fair. And I also don't know the exact search term they ran their tracker on. I ran my grid for personal injury attorney, car accident attorney, and a few other related variants, medical malpractice attorney, things like that. Obviously, if I ran it for their brand name, I would get a perfectly green grid. That's not the test, though. You don't need an SEO agency to rank you for your brand name. The test is queries someone with an actual legal problem would type. Okay, so 3 grids, pay attention. We'll start with there before. This is what they showed. Heavy red across most of the city, yellows through the middle, and a small green pocket near the center. Essentially, bottom of the page, completely invisible, their words, and the grid definitely backs that up. Now, this is what they showed as the after. Almost the entire grid is now green. Number 1s, 2s, a couple of 3s filling in across the city. If this is what your rank tracker is showing you, you'd say what they said. Number 1 across the entire city, dominating, massive transformation. Okay, here's what I got when I pulled the grid for personal injury attorney as of the day of filming this video. A small green core right around that office address, quickly transitioning to yellows. They really are ranking number 1 if you're searching from inside that small bubble. That part is definitely honest. But if we move out a little bit, then the rankings basically collapse. Now, I'm not saying anything about how the original video pulled their grid or what they tracked. They showed what they showed, and I take that at face value. What I'm saying is that today, on a competitive, non-branded, directly relevant term, personal injury attorney in this city, Tampa, Florida, they aren't in the top 3 across very much of the city at all. And as you guys know, if you aren't in the top 3, you're basically invisible. So whatever lift they captured during that review velocity spike, it isn't holding on the queries that matter most. The wider city dominance that the framing implied, that's not what's showing up when you look right now. And here's the bigger thing the case study gets wrong, in my opinion. Reviews are not actually a major ranking factor. I've been saying this for years. Reviews help with conversion. They help the people who already see your listing decide to click and call you. But the idea that a velocity spike alone takes a business from invisible to citywide dominance in a space as competitive as personal injury in Tampa, Florida, I have never seen that happen in the wild. Not once, not in 10 years of running an agency. When I see a transformation that big, there's almost always something else going on at the same time. Website changes, link building, GBP optimization, category fixes, citations, something else. The reviews get the credit because the spike is visible and easy to point to. But the actual lift is usually coming from somewhere else. Now, that does not mean reviews don't matter. They actually matter more than ever, just not in the way the original video frames it. Where reviews are doing massive work right now is on the AI side. ChatGPT, Perplexity, Google's AI Overview, and especially Google's Ask Maps, which is rolling out, these systems read review content, not just star counts. They read the actual words, the services mentioned, the attributes that are called out. This is such a big deal that Google has actually talked about a 4th major ranking factor called attributes. If your reviews say they helped me with a car accident claim and got the insurance company to pay out fast, an AI recommending personal injury attorneys for car accidents will pick that up and is more likely to recommend it. If your reviews are generic, great service would recommend, the AI is not going to count that. You're invisible to the AI layer. So the move isn't don't get reviews. The move is to coach your customers to leave specific reviews. Mention the service, mention the attribute, mention the outcome. Generic 5-star reviews help conversion. Specific reviews with real attributes are how you show up in AI recommendations and Ask Maps. That's where the actual leverage is over the next year or two. Now, I know what a lot of you are thinking. Google recently updated their review guidelines. The terms of service now say you can't ask customers to mention specific staff members or specific services by name. So we don't coach our clients to do that. Why would we coach our clients to break Google's terms of service? What we coach instead is a script that prompts the customer to add specifics in their own words without the business ever naming what they want. Something like, hey, name, fill in the name there. Thanks for choosing us. Would you mind sharing what we fixed and how it went? That's it. That question gets you the service mention and the outcome mention, and the customer is the one putting them in the review, which is exactly what the AI systems are reading and exactly what the current terms of service allows. Now, for traditional ranking, if you want to show up across an entire city on the map, you need a website structure that's built around that. Entity strength, the right category and service architecture, location pages that actually serve the neighborhoods you're claiming. Reviews don't replace that. Nothing replaces that. So here's the part that bothers me about how this stuff spreads. A clean before and after is shareable. It's screenshot friendly. It hits the dopamine button on every SEO Twitter feed in the world. So a case study with a green map after a review spike at a festival, that's exciting. That gets seen. The boring version, where someone goes, hey, the geographic scope might be smaller than the framing suggests. Here's why. No one shares that. It doesn't fit on a slide. It doesn't make a clean Twitter thread. So the story that wins, it isn't always the most accurate one. It's the one that's easiest to retweet. That's most of the SEO content that you're seeing right now. Not because the people making it are dishonest. Honestly, most of them aren't. But because the format rewards clean stories, and clean stories mostly aren't true. The data is messy. It's messier than you can give in a clean story. So check out this video where I break down what the CEO of Google says about the future of Google search. Google is going to look very different in a year or two because of what he says in this interview. Click here to watch.